I've underwritten over 6,000 deals in the last 10 years. I've funded over 3,700 of those 6,000. I don't care that you got a 600 credit if you've done 50 deals. Experience trumps everything on those fix and flips. 90% of real estate investors who don't have money, like, how do I get in? I don't have any money. They do what you're saying.
Why don't realtors stop trying to sell and list homes and start investing in them if they got a guy like you willing to give them the money? So if someone listening to this right now, they've never done real estate. How are they making money?
So finding the right deals. And like we talked about, 85% of your time is spent finding the right deals. And you got to be able to put in the sweat, blood, and tears to do it. But when you do it, when you find it, like the deals I told you about, there's a lot of cash to be made.
Yeah, but when you say blood, sweat, and tears, it's not that hard.
It's hard.
It's not that hard.
It's hard.
How's it hard?
Because...
Are you using a shovel?
Using your back. Using your back, using your brain. Here's what happens.
But is there any physical labor?
No, not physical. But I think that the mental drain, the mental disappointment, because there's 1,000 deals out there, Brett. I mean, you can open up any Zillow page and just put in a zip code and there's 1,000 listings and oh shit, man, look at this. It's got $100,000 spread in it. Let me buy it. No, it doesn't have a $100,000 spread in because number one, you don't know what's wrong with it. You don't know how much rehab's going to go into it. You don't know what's going on in the market. And so I think the mental disappointment is more deflating and more exhausting than any kind of physical labor that people put in.
That's right. And see, that, my friend, is the key.
Yeah. Because
again, people just need to understand the mindset, the mental aspect.
Yeah. It's so important. It's so important to be mentally prepared. To understand that this is not easy, or everybody would be multi-billionaires in real estate because real estate's been around as long as we've been around, right? So the key understanding is knowing what to look for, knowing what to dig through, knowing what to analyze. And then once you've done that on 100, 200, 300, 400 deals, you find the right one, you go for it, and you bank on it, and you make it happen.
Now, you know what to look for.
Right. I've seen over 6,000 deals in the last 10 years. I've underwritten over 6,000 deals in the last 10 years. I've funded over 3,700 of those 6,000. So we say no a lot because those deals don't work. And I guarantee you this, Brad, every one of those deals they brought in, every one of those clients thought that was a sweet deal to do. It wasn't for us. Now, did they do them? Probably. Did they lose their money, lose their shirts? Probably. But they're not a deal we would put money in. And we don't put deals in put money into every deal, but we put monies in the deals that make money. Period. I
was going to say, but with your experience, you probably only funding deals that you know are a factual home run.
Right. And then I will tell you this, the deal itself has a huge variable on it, but also the operator. So if I take somebody who's brand new and they bring me a pretty thin deal, I'm not going to do the deal. I'm going to say, you know what? It's too thin, too many margins for error. We're probably not going to work it. But if somebody I've done 15, 20, 30, 60, 70 deals with brought me that same deal, I would probably fund it because he knows what to do when shit hits the fan. He knows what to do when things aren't the way he thought, how to revert, how to come around and make it, pan out.
Well, a lot of banks operate the same way, don't they?
No. I don't know a bank that doesn't look at anything that's not where you have all the money, you have all the credit, you have all the resources. You don't need their money. Once you have $2 million in the bank, they'll lend you $20,000 or $200,000. But if you didn't have any money in the bank, or if you only had $100,000 in the bank, they're not going to loan you that deal because it's too much risk.
Well, sometimes they look at the operator. How many properties do you have? How successful are you running those properties? Because they look at like multifamily as a business.
Multifamily is a huge business where operations is the key.
Yeah, and banks say, you know, it depends on who it is. Because if it's someone that's been doing it successfully for a long time, they'll probably stretch a little bit more.
Correct.
So you're thinking like the bank in that regard.
To some degree, yeah, operations and experience. And so on our bridge loans, when we do our bridge loans, which is a short-term 12-month or less loan, experience trumps credit. I don't care that you got a 600, 630, 650 credit if you've done 50 deals. Because you're that guy that's performing. You're that guy that's rocking and rolling. You're that guy that's turning things around and making it happen. And your credit may be low because you maximize your credit cards to offset materials and supplies. So experience trumps everything on those fix and flips. Absolutely.
Well, when you said your credit may be low, people don't understand that when you max out your credit cards, even though you pay it off a week later, you had the money, you just used your credit cards. That can technically change your credit score if you don't pay them correctly.
Right.
What credit is required for this?
So we look at 650 or above as a starting platform. So if you came to me as a brand new person and you had a 670, 680 and the deal was sweet, we'd do the deal. Now, if you came to me with the 600 and this is your first time, you've never done a deal, you came with 600 with that same deal, and we looked at your credit, and it is some charge-offs, some collections, and I haven't reestablished, probably not going to do that deal with you, because we also look at character. Are you willing to honor your obligations and your commitments?
So somebody with like not very good credit, because 600 is kind of shitty.
Right.
It's not like dirt bag, but it's not good.
Right.
So if someone with bad credit wants to borrow money from you to get in the real estate game, you're willing to do it?
With a partner.
With a partner.
With a partner.
What does that mean?
So we need somebody that has experience to come in with you. So I'm not going to. So if you've got a 600 FICO score,
how do you know if they're not lying?
If they're not lying about experience, we validate. So when you tell me, oh, I've done 10 deals, okay, great. Give me the addresses, and then bring me the deeds and settlement statement. Show them when you bought it, how much you bought it for, when you sold it. Did you execute on that plan? And so we validate your experience. And trust me, here's the key thing that most people provide us. Oh, yeah, I've done 20 deals. Okay, let's see them. They'll list out all the addresses. All right, now send us the deeds and the HUD statements. Well, we were just a silent partner on them. So let me make sure I understand this, Brad. You've done 20 deals as a silent partner where you gave Joey 20 grand for him to go buy a fix and flip. You didn't have the note in your name. You didn't sign on the bottom line. You didn't flip, you didn't bring a hammer or a saw to the table. You just sat back, and when he sold him, you got your money back in commission. Yeah. How does that ensure to me that you know what you're doing? And it doesn't.
So you need to go get Joey.
Yeah, go get Joey who's flipped those 30 deals and say, Joey, get this guy. Now, put him as 50% owner on the LLC to where he's signed on the dotted line, where he's responsible for the mortgage, and put him out there on the job site doing the work, meeting with the contractors, seeing what works and what doesn't work. Give him the experience so that we can know that he knows how to do this stuff. Now,
what about good credit?
Good credit helps, but again, experience on fix and flips is the key element.
So like guy like, Joey Jr. that has zero experience, but he's got an 840 credit score.
Then we will look with him because if the deal works, then I know he's responsible. I know he's got good character, and I know that he will meet his obligations and commitments, that he's honorable.
Well, the right person would make the deal work even if it didn't work.
Right.
Like if I ever borrowed money.
Yep.
And it didn't work, that's my loss. I owe that money one way or the other.
And that's the integrity side of it all. And that's why with Global Integrity Finance, integrity is our middle name. And we look at people that have that same concept, that same structure and philosophy.
Are you only in Texas?
We're nationwide.
So you'll loan money to anybody?
Yeah.
Now, I get a lot of people in real estate listening to this show. And, some of them know what they're doing. Some of them are investors, but a lot of them are real estate agents.
Right.
And I keep saying, dude, you ain't getting rich selling real estate. You got to start buying real estate.
Yep.
So what would you say to all the realtors listening about get in and start getting wealthy with real estate investing, not buying? Or not selling.
Not selling. Well, that's a great question because those agents already know the neighborhoods. They already know, what's going on in their demographics, and they have that inside understanding. And a lot of them are getting those listings before they ever hit the market, of course. So they know, hey, this is a pretty sweet deal. They're getting that off-market stuff.
But is there a conflict?
No. Well, they can't be paid on both. So you can't be paid as a realtor and do your own deal with us. We won't let you be the realtor and the borrower. Now you can be the borrower, but you're not going to get a commission as a realtor on that deal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We got to make sure that there's still a level of 30,000 foot integrity viewpoint.
Yeah. My main question to people, realtors, I don't know of a bunch of rich realtors.
I don't know any.
Matter of fact, most of them that I know aren't financially doing very well. And it wasn't because of the rates. It was like that always. In other words, a realtor to me is your entry level person. They're not making a bunch of money. Now there is an occasional, famous realtor,
Right.
like they got a TV show. Well,
Right.
not all of them have
Not
TV
all of them
shows.
have it.
So why don't realtors stop trying to sell and list homes and start investing in them if they got a guy like you willing to give them the money?
Right. I think the biggest thing is fear. I think with everything in life, and especially in real estate, the unknown trumps their desire to make a change. I don't know how to flip a house. I don't know how to get a hard money loan. I don't know. And they just don't. And also they were taught and trained to be one way, which was to be a realtor, to list and sell properties. And so they just, and here's what amazes me when you bring that up. We have a lot of clients who have relationships with realtors, and those realtors find them off-market deals.
And give them to them.
And give them to them. And like, you could have had the deal right there yourself. Well, yeah, but I just, so that's the fear, I think, is what stops them from doing it.
I wonder what the mindset is. Because earlier you were talking about minds, mentally, physically, and spiritually.
Yep.
Well, that's a mental problem.
That's a mental problem. And that's
realtors have mental problems.
Yes, they do. On more levels than we want to talk about.
Yeah, to me, it's like, dude, listen, I mean, if you're selling real estate, if you're a realtor, like, you should be an investor, period. The fact that you have a license, great, use it to your advantage, but start investing. Well, I don't have the money. This dude will give you the money. Now, again, what if you have no experience, good credit? You'll look at it.
Right.
What if I just assume good credit? Because if someone that didn't have good credit, I don't care if they have experience. Like, you prove you don't pay nobody.
Right. Well,
why am I going to loan you money?
Yeah. And when we talk about bad credit or less than favorable, it's not because, and we're going to make sure that we're clarifying, you can't have collections, you can't have charge-offs, you can't have past dues. Usually when their credit score is below a 650, it's because it's just everything's maxed out. And that's okay.
Well, when I max out, I drop to like an 810.
Right. Well, some people are only at a 700 when they start because they only have 6 lines of credit, and they've only been, using their credit for 10 years, and it's stayed pretty maxed out. So it never really did climb up there.
Well, it drops by like 10 points. 10 points for every 1,000 over.
That's right.
The level you are. And what's crazy is they only want you at 10%.
Right, max 30% debt. Yeah, max 30%.
Which again, then why do they give you credit card for the whole amount? Like, you dumbass. If you only want me to use 10% of it, why are you giving me a 10 grand limit when you really only want me to use 1,000?
Give me a $3,000 limit. But then and that's what we look at. And one of the things that we see a lot is it is cheaper. He's flipping a deal right now, and it is cheaper when they have cash readily available because they can find better deals than to go to Home Depot or go to Lowe's and go that to where, you have to set up these lines of credit. If you can pay cash to a wholesaler, if you can pay cash to somebody who's got bulk material, you're getting a sweeter deal. Now you're maximizing profitability.
You're talking about like who flips it?
Like the investor himself. Yeah. So that's why they're using their credit cards. They're pulling cash. They're doing cash advances.
So they're doing the flip themselves?
The investor, yeah.
See, I just want to pay. I don't want to flip a house. I don't know anything about that shit. You talking about a lot of the people you're loaning money to are the actual contract flippers, or I thought they go with subs and shit.
No, you got a good mix. Most of them who are really flipping like 20, 30, 40 deals a year, they're GCing the whole thing. Yeah, they're boots on the ground. They've got their laborers that they manage, and they've got their subs that they manage, but they're boots on the ground. They're GCing that deal, especially the big guys.
Now, could you GC your own deal?
We did, yeah. Yeah, I GC'd all my deals.
So when you got started, how'd you get started?
So I got started. So Imperial Mortgage was a company we had, started in 1994 in Richardson, Texas. And the big fight back then was Clinton just took over an office in the mid-90s, dropped interest rates down, and so everybody was refinancing, everybody's buying houses. And you normally, at that time, for primary residents, had a 680, 700, 750 FICO score, where there was another demographic that didn't. And so I didn't want to compete with the guy Bradley comes to me and we do a loan for you, and we got you at 5.75 on a 30-year mortgage. We were charging you a point origination and $350 in processing and underwriting, right? And so 2 weeks before closing, I call you, say, hey, Brad, we're closing next week. You ready to go? No, I decided to go over here because this guy, dropped my rate by 1/8 of a point and waived my processing fee. I'm like, well, you jackass, I just spent 30 days working on your loan and I'm not going to get paid. So those people were what we called A-paper borrowers, and they had zero loyalty. We found a whole nother demographic. And that demographic was the guys that had been turned down. They had a 580, 590, 600, couldn't get a loan, first-time home buyers. So what we did is said, okay, Chandler, we're going to find you. So we're going to get you an FHA loan, and we're going to need about 90 days to get your credit fixed, get your budget fixed, all that. So what we're going to do is we're going to send you over to one of our realtors. They're going to take you down to U.S. Homes or Pulte Homes, put you on a ground-up brand new construction house, which took them about 90 days to 120 days to fund that, to build that house, right? So during that time, I would give him a pre-approval letter. They'd go get the house under contract, and we would start working on his credit, adding his electric bill, adding his insurance, adding 5, 6, 7 lines of credit that they paid every month onto their credit report. And the other thing that happened is the minute he got that house under contract, he took his wife, he took his brothers, he took his parents, he took his neighbors, he took his coworkers and showed them his brand new house. So every month at each level, he was showing off that brand new house, which guaranteed that he was going to do everything I told him to do to get his credit and finances in order by the time that thing closed. That skyrocketed. I mean, once he closed and funded, every Tom, Dick, and Harry he knew closed and funded with us. So we had this onslaught. Now, as I mentioned to you earlier, not everybody we could fix in 90 days. Some people took 12 months. So at that time, we were doing fix and flips and just called them owner finances. So we would find a property. I would fix it up, move Chandler and his family into it, and tell him he's got 12 months to get through this, and then we would refinance him into an FHA. So we had about 30, 35 houses under owner finance working through that platform with Imperial Mortgage, and then the crash happened. So I already knew about how to fix houses up, how to flip them, and all that stuff. And so when we got back into it in 2015, it was what our bread and butter was.
Yeah, but what made you pivot to a more of a blue ocean?
What do you mean by that?
Well, you realized, hey, these A buyers are assholes. There's no loyalty. They can go anywhere, and everybody's freaking rubbing their balls to get their business.
Right.
Screw them. I'm going to go find people that appreciate the respect. I call them get me dones.
Get me dones. It's this great terminology. What caused it was I hated that. I just couldn't stand the guys that had no loyalty. And we happened to have one that came in, and I saw that, you know what, we can have this done in 90 days. But I had to ensure that he stayed with me. I had to ensure that he did what we said. How'd you do that? By going and getting him a ground up brand new house.
But what if he had a house he wanted? You'd lose that deal?
The house wouldn't work. The house, you didn't qualify for that house.
Why don't you just contractually obligate him?
Just wasn't the control that I understood and that I recognized. And I needed them to be overly excited because everybody else had told them no. And not only were we telling them, yes, we're getting them to a freaking brand new house, not a refurbished house, not a house on the market. And I needed 90 days. No seller at that time in the mid-90s was putting a house under contract for 90 days.
Well, that's hard to build a house in 90 days.
Back then it wasn't. U.S. Homes and Pulte Homes turned them and burned them. All those tract homes that they were doing, man, and here's how I knew them. My previous company was a landscape company, and I had a contract with U.S. Homes and Pulte Homes to do all the retaining walls, all the landscaping, and all the privacy fences. So I knew how fast they were churning and burning. And when we went into the mortgage industry, I had those relationships.
What made you get in the mortgage industry?
That blonde-haired, blue-eyed daughter out there. So I had a landscape company there in Wiley, Texas, working 18 hours a day. Met my wife. She got pregnant about a year later. Well, no, I'm going to say about 90 days later. My daughter was born, and I was leaving out about 6, 7 in the morning, coming back in about 2 in the morning, going almost 24 hours straight. And one afternoon I came home, and my daughter was probably about 3 or 4 weeks old, maybe a month old. And my wife said, you know what, you'd be so amazed. I was vacuuming here, and I was looking, and she would follow me. Everywhere I was, she was looking for me. And I said, you know what, I ain't doing this shit. I am not going to let
her grow up without you.
Right.
Because a lot of people are doing that.
So I sold. I sold it. The next day, I sold the company. And I had a brother-in-law who was in the industry as a mortgage guy. And I said, hey, sold the company, like what you guys are doing. Can I come sit with you for 30 days and learn the business? He said, you bet. So I came and sat with him, learned, and they were doing all the A-paper stuff. And it wasn't for me. The A-paper stuff wasn't where I wanted to be. It wasn't a niche. And my whole life has been about a niche, about helping people have a better tomorrow than they have today. And so that niche was being able to help those that people were telling no. And that's how I got into the mortgage industry.
Yeah, that's what I mean by blue ocean. It's not a red ocean. You ever read the book Blue Ocean?
I have not.
Blue Ocean Strategy?
No.
They call it blue ocean because the water's clear. And a red ocean, there's a lot of sharks in the water and a lot of blood in the water because like everybody's in that space.
Yeah, and that was I wanted to make a difference where nobody else was. And that's where we launched that, was being able to help people get houses. When everybody was telling them no, we never told anybody no. Even today, I don't tell people no. I just tell them not this deal, not this way.
So again, I mean, to me, you've always had the kind of intuition to shift and pivot and find a success. And then when you said 2008 hit, boom, you lost everything.
Lost it all.
Didn't you have investments and property and equity and all this other stuff?
Had a lot of toys. Had a ton of toys. Had a big old Class A motorhome. Had a big old yacht. Had a big old house. Had a lot of toys. Was living rich and famous and didn't realize I really wasn't rich. Was just rich in my own mind. I was telling you, we out there at Grandpappy's and had our yacht out there, and every Friday night there was always a card game with Pete Verdi and Troy Aikman and all those guys out there, and I'd be sitting there playing. I'm like, man, here I'm swinging with the big dicks and all this stuff, and I'm like, and then I would joke, yeah, these guys are all millionaires, I'm just a thousandaire. I wanted to live that life, but we just didn't ever really prepare for. To me, and I joke all the time, back then I went to work to print money, and that's all we did was we printed money, and I expanded. And what happened was we outgrew. I mean, I had 70 loan officers, had 25 RE/MAX agents. I owned a RE/MAX franchise. I had 22 title agents with my title company, had an appraisal company. All I was doing was growing and not setting aside, because I just felt like the mortgage industry was where we needed to be and what we needed to do. And it was never going to go away. You always need housing. Crash happened and we just were not prepared. And then when we relaunched with Global Integrity Finance, I set it up to where anything happens, our money's protected, period.
So what's the newest kind of angle that you may have found for someone that normally probably doesn't think they could buy a home?
So we've got a new program that we're launching right now, and it's a multi-leveled program that says, because we know that interest rates are high, we know valuations are high, we know that finding the right deal is the hardest thing you're ever going to do, and that people are sick of where their tomorrow looks like. They want to get into real estate investing, then we want to be that person to help them out. So we're not only going to help you lend the money to you, but we want to make sure that you find the right deal through a coaching, mentoring program. So we call it coaching, mentoring, partnering. So we're going to go in there and we're going to bring you on into a program that we have that's first and foremost going to make sure that you're spiritually, mentally, and physically aligned. It's a 30-day course. The course is amazing. The first assessment that you do is like 18 or 25 questions, and it gives you a readout of who you are and what's missing in your life or what's broken in your life. And I'm telling you, Brad, if I had you take the test right now, it'd take you 5 minutes to fill it out, you'd get that assessment back, and I promise you'd go, holy shit, this thing's accurate.
Would I cry?
You probably would. I did. I
did.
You? I seriously did.
Is it a psychological profile?
Yes, it is. Basically, it says, here's who Bradley is right now. Here's what he's accomplished. Here's what he's done. But here's what Bradley's still missing and where he wants to go and what he wants to do and why he's not there.
This is where he's wounded.
This is where he's wounded. This is where the life.
I want to take the test just for that.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we've all taken it. It's been To me, I felt it was 98% accurate. He was probably 92% accurate. The more social media you have, the more accurate it is because it gets a good reading of who you are, what you've done, and what you're trying to accomplish.
Well, then it should give me 100%.
And you can have goosebumps on your arms.
Where is it? We're doing it after this.
Yeah, you'll love it. So then from that, we then personally build a 30 or 28-day program for you, specialized for you.
To get aligned.
To get aligned spiritually, mentally, and physically, so that when life kicks you in the nuts, you don't just fall down and cry. You're now saying, you know what, that's okay. I'm more in line, in tuned, and more confident in myself now than I ever was. And we go.
Did you develop the test?
Yes. And I just wrote a book that just went live last week. It's on Amazon Kindle and Amazon paperback that talks about this test. It's about 75 pages long, and it talks about the whole, it's called The Unshakable Self, Rebuilding Spiritually, Mentally, Physically Through Personal Disciplines or Daily Disciplines. And that's what it's all about, getting you back to the core you. Because when I was young, and I think you're the same way, hell, I wasn't scared of nothing. I mean, I would take on any challenge, anything. I started a landscape company, didn't know shit. I was building houses for U.S. homes. I never built a private fence in my life, but I took on their contract. I wasn't afraid to fail because I knew that I could overcome it while I was doing it. Well, today's society, and you talk about it a lot, doesn't have that same confidence, that same ability. We got a lot of snowflakes out there. And so, but there's still a lot of people that want more out of life. They want a better future. They want a better tomorrow. But they're just lost and they're tired of, not knowing how. So in our platform and in our program, we're going to help you get grounded back first. Then we're going to teach you how to find deals. We're going to teach you how to understand, underwrite, and evaluate. And we're going to partner with you, and we're going to fund your deals. We're going to ensure success and profitability because we want you to be a client for life.
Yeah, you want me borrowing more money.
That's right.
So you're basically putting people in business.
Trying to put them in a better tomorrow than they ever dreamed of.
So folks, now all you got left is excuses.
That's right.
Because you got the money, you got the education, you got the whole shebang. Out of curiosity, obviously excuses ruin a lot of people's, plans.
Right.
But in some cases, apprehension and caution is intelligent. So in today's real estate economy, why wouldn't someone just sit back and wait until interest rates come down and shit like that?
Too late.
Too late for what?
Too late. You wait for interest rates to go below 6, you're going to miss the bubble. You're going to miss it because right now people are saying, oh, interest rates are too high, property values are too high, I'm going to wait for those to come down. Valuations aren't going to come down. They're not, there's a 6.5 million housing shortage nationwide right now. What does that mean? 6.5 million people need houses they can't get, they can't find. So the demand is there, the supply is not. So valuations are going to stay with that and only going to grow. And when interest rates come down, all those families that thought they were going to buy a house in 2021, 2022 when rates were low, went on hold. And they thought, well, they'll come back because they shot up overnight. When those get sub 6, those people are going to start buying again, and valuations are going to keep going higher and higher and higher. So if you wait, you will miss out.
What about the Palisades fires, for example? What caused 6.5 million home shortage, and who's counting?
So the feds.
Maybe they're full of shit, though.
They've been saying it for a long time with a lot of experts, even Warren Buffett, supporting that, yes, we are in a huge housing shortage nationwide.
Well, again, then where are all these people? I don't see them on the streets.
No, they're living with mom and dad still. They're living.
Dude, are we really in that situation?
Yeah, we are.
Man, I got to start reading the news.
Yeah. They're bunked up. They're moving into rentals, 4 and 5 and 6 family, or not 4 and 5 people, adults living together. So now you've got multi-tenants in housing. One of the biggest successes out there is single room occupancies. You go buy a 4 or 5 bedroom and you chop it up and you rent it to 10 people. That's a huge cash cow.
10? There's only 4 or 5 bedrooms.
Yeah, you chop them up. Chop them up, man. They're doing that all day long.
Would you loan for a project like that?
No.
So you're looking for people that want to flip homes or multifamily, or what's your budget? What's your limits?
So we're at $75,000 minimum loan amount, up to $2.5 million max per transaction. And there's two sides. There's two. So you've got the fix and flip. So I'm buying a dilapidated house, I'm rehabbing it, and then I'm either going to sell it or I'm going to refinance it into a rental. And right now, I would say 75% of our big institutional clients that do a lot of houses are buying, fixing, and renting because they know the appreciation. They know the valuation. They know the minute the rates drop, that $400,000 house can go to $450,000 overnight, may even go to $475,000 depending upon the neighborhood. So they're going to get an extra, $25,000, $50,000 on that just by holding it. And they're cashing it right now because rents are high demand. So we have the fix and flip, short term, 12-month, interest only, bridge loan. And then 75 to 80% of those clients refinance into our long-term DSCR. Meaning, again, here's the glory with our programs. Brad, I don't care if you have a job or not. There's not even a place on the application for you to list your employment. We don't care. What I care about is the asset. Will the asset perform? So when you're refinancing that into a DSCR, does the rents, the market rents, support the debt by a 1.25 factor? If it does, you're done. If you've got a good FICO and it market rents, close loan. It's that simple. Oh, well, I haven't worked in 3 years. I don't care.
Yeah, but you just kind of released a formula that I just picked up on. I know.
That's why you signed that NDA before we came in here.
Yeah, but I mean, because I was one time I was watching Kevin Trudeau talk about, his memory thing, and he wanted you to buy his program to learn how to memorize. And I'm listening to him and I'm like, well, you just told me how to do it. And so I just tried it and it worked. I'm like, well, dude, now I don't need the program, but there's more to this program. But what you just said was, if the market rent in that area for that type of asset equals 1.25%
of the mortgage, total mortgage.
Yeah, then that's a good deal. That's a fundable deal.
Yep.
That's all someone has to really do. So if you're smart and you're thinking, man, just go do the math, do the formula, and you'll be like, dude, that's a deal. Because if the deals are hard to find, there's people out there that can just find the deals, bring them to you.
Right.
Now, if they bring them to you, will you do them, or will you give them the money? Or do you have a network? Like, can I plug in? If I don't have any money, you'll loan me money.
Yep.
Now, again, if I don't even have the down payment, I don't have nothing, I got the deal. You'll loan me the money?
No, because you do have to put skin in the game.
So do you have people that would do the skin in the game for me if I just found the deal?
No.
See, then I'm going to bring the finders.
Yeah. Now, and that's where, and this is what happens. So 90% of real estate investors who don't have money, they're like, how do I get in? I don't have any money. They do what you're saying. I'm a finder. So I'm going to go find some deals, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 deals. And I'm going to get a fee for that. And then I'm going to hoard that. I'm going to set it aside. I'm going to keep living really frugal on what I've already making, but I'm going to go find the deals, and I'm going to get paid a commission to find those deals, set that aside. And now I've got $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 to do my first deal.
That's right.
And that turns into $25,000, $30,000. Well, now I can do 2 deals. Now I can do 40, and that's how they grow. And that's the way
but eventually you're a buyer.
Right.
And up front, you're a hunter.
That's correct.
Because you need a lot of the buyers that know what they're doing. Like you don't want to be out there hunting.
No.
That's below you.
You
get the Chandlers. You keep using Chandler, but you go get someone else. Hey, go find me deals. I'll give you the money. I'll bring. So people are bringing you deals that they want to do,
right?
And you're like, there's the money. Why? Because it's a slam dunk.
Slam dunk. Yeah.
So do you ever do deals yourself?
Yeah, we do deals, especially on multifamily.
Now you keep saying we. Do you have a turd in your pocket?
I call my company we.
So, but like when you say we do deals, how many people are out there finding you deals that you're involved in?
6,000.
So you're still doing deals yourself?
Yeah. Not only on the multifamily side. That's correct. Yeah. In fact, we've turned down everybody asks, why multifamily? Why multifamily? Because just like I was sharing with you, I just acquired 300 units last year in 12 months. You know how many single families, how hard that'd be? It's 30 deals a month, 25 deals a month.
Yeah.
How hard is it to drive 25 different locations, make sure I get 25 different contractors, plumbers, flooring, framers, roofers, all that doing their job right? I'm going to miss something. But if I do that under one roof, it's a lot easier to manage because it's one contractor, one plumber, one electrician, one HVAC doing all those units. And so I can maximize my time, maximize my energy, managing and get multiple returns.
See, so again, if someone's smart and they're paying attention,
yeah,
if that's what you've found over the 30 years you've realized, well, that they should probably go that same direction.
That would be the
quicker.
way to go. Yeah.
But everyone started flipping houses.
Everybody started flipping
and
houses.
You listen to certain experts out there, they'll tell you, don't waste your time with the flipping. Just go right to the 32 units.
No.
Well, dude, people just can't do that.
And
some can, but most can't.
Less than 0.001%
and
will be successful.
I know a handful of people, a lot of people, more than a handful, that flip house, got a little money, boom, boom, and now they own apartment buildings and storage facilities and all kinds of crap. But it started with buying and flipping a house.
That's correct. You have to start at, it's like we talk about, every successful business person will tell you, no matter what you're doing, you got to crawl, walk, then run. And that's the same thing. Start with, and every one of my institutional clients and I say they have anywhere from 200 to 4,000 units. They started as a wholesaler because they wanted to understand the demographics of a neighborhood and what made a deal work and what didn't make a deal without any risk. If I wholesale a deal to you, I'm getting paid, and then you worry about whether that deal flips out or not, right? So I just went and found some deals. You took one. I got paid a commission. Now I sit back and watch. Did Bradley's have success on this deal? Wonder how and why. Well, now I'm seeing more and more success out of that neighborhood or that style. So now I know what to look for because this is what the investors are doing. This is what they're buying from me, and they're having success. And then I start following. So if I did that now 10 times and I got a feel of how it's working and the contractors are using, that's the other thing. You take somebody who's brand new, who's never done a deal, they don't know who the contractors are.
Yeah.
And they don't even know where to find them. But now that I've worked with several investors and I've found them houses, I've got to know their contractors. I got to know how they're operating. And now, hey, when you're not working for this guy, would you work for me? Great. I got a deal. And so they evolve it. Now they're walking. And now I've done 5, 10, 20 deals. Now I go into a multifamily. And I go into a 20 unit. I go into a 40 unit. And now I'm starting to jog a little bit. And then I go into a 200 unit. And now I'm running LightSpeed.
So my question would be for the contractors. Again, I always wonder why the people that are really doing the work aren't taking advantage. The realtors that know the deals, they're not doing it. They're letting someone else do it. The contractors, dude, you're being paid to flip the damn house. What if I'm a contractor? Why wouldn't I come to you and say, dude, teach me shit so I can quit contracting? Because they just get paid to flip the house, right?
They get paid to just do the work.
I know, but it's obviously less than it's worth doing.
Right.
I always tell people this, like, dude, you let's say you have a job and it's $40 an hour, and I get $40 an hour. I'm like, well, someone has to pay you that.
Right.
Well, yeah. Well, then it has to be worth more to them to let you do it.
That's right. They're making $80 an hour.
Exactly. So you always have to look upward. So if I'm the flipper, I'm hiring Chandler to come in and do the floors and do the walls. Like, the general contractor at least has to be smart enough to realize, why am I willing to give him $25,000 to make the house different? Because I'm going to buy it. So why don't they just do it? Why don't contractors become flippers?
Mindset's the only thing I have. Mindset, fear. The reason why, from my experience, the reason why people don't do what they really want to do is fear, exclusively. And Zig Ziglar taught me a long time. I had the ability to work for Zig Ziglar and with him. And I was doing sales training for mortgage companies. And it gets so frustrating because we go in there and do an amazing presentation, standing ovations, blah, blah, blah. And it's okay. Now, are you going to buy this package? And you have little success. And I asked, what are we doing wrong? He said, we're not. But you have to understand, people will do exactly what they want to do, period.
Did he ever tell you it's good?
Yes. Yeah. The amazing voice of Zig. But that was the thing and it took me a while to understand it, because everybody wants to have success. Everybody wants to have dropping bombs. Everybody wants to have the golden arch and all that stuff. But not everybody's willing to do what it takes to get there. They want it only to a level of, well, that's a little bit too hard for me. Or I'm not destined for that. I don't deserve that. And that's where they start convincing themselves that they're not worthy of it, which is total bullshit.
Well, that's the mental problem.
Yeah, that's what I said. That's the mental part. But they start convincing themselves, well, I tried it and it didn't work out. My sales guys.
You haven't tried it long enough.
You didn't try it long enough. You gave up. You quit on you. You didn't quit on me. You didn't quit on Brad. You didn't quit on Chandler. You quit on you.
Or again, I mean, deep down, they could subconsciously not think that they're worth anymore.
That's right.
And at the end of the day, you're never going to outperform your own self-image. So you have to fix your self-image first.
Spiritually, mentally, physically.
Yeah.
First and foremost. In the beginning of every day. Don't ever do that shit at noon. Don't do it at the end of the day. You have to do physically, spiritually, mentally, first thing every day, because from there you're charged.
So how do you educate them to do that? What is your technique?
We build a program for them. We build them a 28-day personalized program.
Give my listeners a free mini breakdown of how do you wake up in the morning and build physically, mentally, and spiritually.
So the first thing we want you to do is set aside 1 hour, 20 minutes physically. And basically, if you're not a big workout guy, then you got to start with cardio, stretching, cardio, just push-ups, sit-ups, all that stuff. For 20 minutes, get that heart rate going up. Build some cardio, because that's what gets the endorphins going.
That's right.
And then the next 20 minutes, you need to do a reflection. One of two things. I don't care if it's mental or spiritual next. But for the next 20 minutes, you need to do a reflection. And if it's mental, then listen to an app, whether it be, reading a 15-minute book on Headway or something like that, to get you educated into the field that you're wanting to go into. And if it's real estate, there's a plethora of real estate books that you can go through in 15 minutes about what real estate is, why to invest. But every day you got to do that to charge that. And then spiritually, you really do need to have that meditation on, the scriptures, Christianity, whatever, and really.
What about Satanism?
Satanism, we would probably say we're going to convert you. Okay, so you can do that, but we're going to work on you and get you converted.
Did you see recently the plaque that was given to Tim, goofball governor? I forget his name already. No. Anyway, they awarded him a plaque that was from Satanists that said, "Thank you for not blocking Satan worshiping in the state," and they gave him a plaque, and now it's sitting in the Capitol building.
No way.
As a trophy.
I did not. No.
And it's a fact. You can go there and look at it.
Wow. No, no, I didn't. So that's what we're gonna build that out for you. Every day you have those lessons, those individually lessons.
So meditate.
You're gonna meditate.
Get a little exercise.
Do a little exercise, and then you're gonna educate.
Read a little bit.
Yep, educate. And what this does is creates a discipline. Okay, if you'll do that, that starts a discipline. And then you have on the 7th day, you have an evaluation. How did this go? And if there's an issue, well, I didn't like this or that didn't jive with me, you can call us and we'll revamp it to be more in tuned. Or if you're struggling. So we're going to make sure that you have that 28-day success.
So you're gonna lead them into what's called,
that's correct,
discipline.
A discipline.
And consistency.
Because if you'll do that for 28 days, now I'm ready to invest in your career.
See, that's the good thing, man. You reward them with now I got some investment partners. Right. Because again, I mean, dude, I would do it just so you will invest in me.
Right.
And what's crazy is I 1,000% agree. I have what's called $1 million morning. I just add a little couple to that, but it's the same thing. Number one, wake up with gratitude. People don't understand that, like, just getting the day is enough to be seriously grateful.
You know how many people didn't get the day that day?
Not only that, but like gratitude, shifts your energy.
That's right.
And your energy, attracts more of it. So you want to be grateful. You want to be, I call it heavenly energy, but you want to figure out how to get in this mood when you wake up. Well, again, it's a choice, and it's also obvious that just be grateful for the day. And the true gratitude, instantly shifts your energy. So now you're in the right energy. Now you want to stay there. Exercise. I say raise your heartbeat for 30 minutes.
That's right.
You're being a little soft for 20, but Because he should be for an hour.
It
Like you should go work out, lift
gonna
weights, do some cardio.
Yeah.
I don't even care if you're hefty. Like,
Right.
dude, just work out for an hour. So 20 minutes is pretty kind, but again, you're just building.
I'm building a
habit.
discipline. Yep.
So I say work out and hydrate. Then I say pick up a book and read it.
Yep.
Or listen to a book. I don't care.
Right.
Then I say focus on 5 things that generate money. Now you're saying meditate.
Mm-hmm.
To me, focus, close. And then the last one is build relationships, because at the end of the day, relationships are important. I tell them, reach out to 5 people that day and just tell them you love them, you miss them. Just say hi. Can I help you? Like, I'm not wanting anything. I just miss you. People don't do that anymore. And so, like, why don't they just reach out to 5 people every single day? And it causes them to get in the habit of building relationships. Yep. And they realize, and everybody should, relationships are where money comes from.
Your network is equal to your net worth.
Yeah, but no one gets that. They've heard that.
But it's just words to most people. But
in reality, every dollar you've ever received has come from some kind of relationship. Yep. So if you want more money, and I do, well, then I need more relationships.
Bigger friendships.
Which means I need to go meet people, which means I need to know, like, I need to be more confident. So again, what you're telling them to do actually works. I know it because I teach them to do those.
Yep.
And it's pretty much a form of that. And dude, it works.
It does. And the difference, I think, is you have your meeting and you're talking about it, right? Is there an accountability in it? Do they do exercises and how do you know that they're actually doing that? I know you're preaching it.
I don't.
So that's
because again, I don't have a program. Right. I just tell them.
And this is what I think is so important. And I've been through them all. I've been through, as I told you, several different coachings and all that.
Well, there has to be accountability.
There has to be accountability. But I don't want to be your dad. I don't want to be your boss. I want to be your partner. So if you're willing to invest in you first and show me that you're serious about a better tomorrow than you have today, then now I'm willing to step it up with you now. I'm willing to say, hey, this person's serious. So now I'm going to give them some of me, some of what we've done and how we can go even to the next level and then the next level and the next level.
And cashola.
Cashola. Everybody likes cash. I don't know why, but everybody likes cash.
Yeah, dude, it's almost like a carrot.
It's a huge,
but it benefits them.
With a big stick. Yeah.
Like show me that you like yourself enough.
Right.
To do a little work, because that's what it is.
And it's not so here's the other thing. It's not so much that I like myself enough, it's that I'm sick of where I'm at. That's the biggest pain. And here's the thing that you will recognize. It's not so much the reward that entices me, because we all want to be wealthy, we all want to be fun, and that's a huge reward. We all want to be multimillionaires, but that's but the tired of being broke, the tired of being in pain, the tired of the emptiness, that's a bigger motivator. Every one of the books I've read of all the people who have been successful was sick of where they were, sick of living in their car, sick of being dead broke, sick, and said it's time to do something different. It wasn't that they didn't ever want that success, but finally they hit rock bottom and the pain outweighed. The pain they were in outweighed the pain of tomorrow. They were willing to take that pain to achieve their goals. That's what's so important to understand and recognize. And that's what that test will tell you. When you take that quiz, it'll say, here's your pains. Here's what you've been facing.
Where do we get this quiz?
I got it on my phone right here, man.
Okay, so again, if someone wants the quiz, where do they go? They reach out.
So we're going to make it live. So if they'll come to us, and that's one of the things I wanted to say is, you know what? It's an honor and it's a pleasure to be here with you, Brad. And it's been so much fun talking to you, sharing, and what you've built with dropping bombs and the following. My goal here, you asked what my goal was. My goal here is to help you grow what you've already started, to be able to add more value to your listeners and to bring another partnership in, a network in that says, hey, that Brad Lee's got some shit going on and look at what they've done this time. This helps you grow you so that people like me and others can be a part of that network and grow it. So I just want to say thank you. And for everybody that's listening, do me a favor. Like, share, subscribe. Grow this shit. And then if you do and you DM me, Toby Potter Official on Instagram, and say dropping bombs or Brad Lee, we'll send you a link and let you do the deal.
See, there you go. There you have it, folks. And again, it sounds like this test will reveal
oh my gosh,
a lot.
He'll tell you, he'll testify. Who'd they do first? Did they do Nick's or Randy's? Because was mine the first one? Yeah, yours was the first. And I'm telling you, it teared up. I was like, oh, that hurts.
And
reality of the internal pains that it recognized, the life scars. I was like, how?
And it reveals the almost remedy.
Yes. Because now, so how many coaching programs out there? There's hundreds of them, but they're generic. They're boilerplated. This is specific to you. This took you, all you are, all you've done, all where you want to be, and customized a 28-day plan to say, hey, here's what we think you need to work on. So we're not going to be 1,000% accurate. We'll be pretty damn close.
So they go to Toby Potter Official, DMU, Bradley, or Bomb Squad.
Yeah, dropping bombs.
Or dropping bombs.
Anything along those lines that they listen to on this podcast.
In other words, he realizes you're from the show. Yeah. Then you'll send him the link, and dude, the rest is, a choice.
Because this thing's not live. This is not live. The only thing that's live is the book, and I need you to buy it. It's on Kindle. In fact, I'll buy it and give it to you. Why don't
you mean me personally? Yeah. I'll buy it.
Yeah.
But what I don't like books as well as I do audio. When are you going to read it?
I just released it last week. It takes through Kindle. You got to go through all three stages. You got to do the Kindle, then do the paperback, and then they'll do the audio.
So where do I buy off Kindle? I don't buy.
So it's
Kindles.
called So just go to Amazon.com.
Dude, Amazon.
Yeah, Amazon.
I'm already a freaking platinum member. Or
yeah,
shit.
So they probably just shipped you the book
Amazon.
Anyway. Yeah, so go to The Unshakable Self.
If I just type it in Amazon, will it find it?
Yeah.
Unshakable Self.
By Toby Potter.
Bam. Was there more than one?
I don't think so, but I want to make sure you do get the right one.
The Unshakable Self.
Top one.
Yeah, I did it. By the way, Unshakable Self. There you go. Kindle. Bang. It says read for free. I suppose.
Oh yeah, because you probably have, because of your status.
I'm gonna buy it just to help you.
Yeah, because of your status, there is a free assessment.
I'm gonna just buy it. There you go. Bam. All right, now what?
So that'll tell you kind of the foundation. It's 75 pages. It's a quick read. Kind of tells you the foundations of the course and what we're trying to achieve and why you need it, why everybody needs it. I don't care if you're Donald Trump, Grant Cardone, Bradley, Toby Potter, it doesn't matter. Everybody needs work on disciplines. And, it really resonates with that individual who is fed up, irritated, and beat down, and I think that most of the time the reason why, and like I said, in every autobiography I ever read, and I've probably read 300 of them, the only difference between them and their success of millions and billions today and the guy that did was they never quit.
They didn't give up.
They never quit. And I think, and I have always told, have lived that for a long. I grew up as a wrestler, started wrestling when I was in 4th grade, wrestled all the way up into college. I was not the best, but it did teach me that the only reason why I ever got beat most of the time is because I ran out of time. But then I got into street fighting, and I got into fighting guys bigger than me, and 90% of the time won because I just never quit. You just eventually, people quit, and you start pounding the crap. And so I learned that early in life that no matter what life throws at you, if you don't quit, you can't lose. It's an improbability.
The forgotten bombs. I've been forgetting to drop the bombs, but that's a bomb for sure.
Yeah, if you don't quit, you can't lose.
I said the other day, and I thought, man, that's good. I'd add that to some book I write. There's 2 reasons people don't win, period. They didn't get started or they didn't keep going, because that's what it boils down to.
That's exactly it.
They didn't get started. That's a bigger one.
That's a big, and in our deal, we talk about, you just took the biggest, hardest move, which is the first step to changing where you're at today for a better tomorrow. Yeah. And most people just don't recognize or realize that they just have to commit and stay committed. You got the bombs going now. Shots fired.
Folks, if you're smart, you're going to go get the book. You're going to get the assessment. Just DM him. He'll get you the link to the assessment. If I were you, I'd go through and check out everything he's got going. If you're in real estate and you want to borrow some money, rates are legit. Like you're not gouging anybody.
You're talking about rates. Here's when we first started, and I was telling you we were doing things in DFW and all that. So we started at 12% interest rate and 4 points. So basically 16% interest is what you were paying me. And I'd have people, that's just too much. I said, so, how long do you think it'll take you to do the deal? Well, and I said, so what do you think would be a fair rate? Well, I think 10, 11% would be fair, and maybe 2 points. I said, so you're willing to pay 12, 13%, right? Yeah. So, all right. How long is it going to take you to do this deal? Oh, I'll be in and out 6 months. I mean, trust me, I'll be in and out. So then you're really only paying me 10%. Well, what do you mean? I said, well, 12% annually is 1% a month, 4 points up front. So if you get done in 6 months and pay me off, you only pay 10% rate. And you're willing to pay 11. So what's the problem? Oh, sorry.
See, you closed them.
Yeah. And that's the difference. Mindset.
Well, again, it's somebody's, fear, always never good enough.
No.
But I think, again, the rates are fair.
Rates are fair.
Especially because if you don't have any other option. But more importantly, dude, I like the program backed up with the loans and the money, because you're basically saying, hey, listen, let me teach you how to get some discipline and, bet on yourself.
That's the key.
That's just
key.
Coaching and mentoring and smart stuff. And then if you do that, I'll give you some money to go out and get in the real estate game. And I'll obviously teach you how to do it so you don't lose our money.
Right. It's our money. That's what they have to understand. And so many people, we hear that all the time. Well, I've done this, I've done that. I can make sure this is going to happen. So why, what's the issue? I'm like, dude, this is our money, and our money. I'm putting in, a lot more than you are. So I have to be more comfortable.
Yeah.
About
you're hedging your bet, man, by making them successful. At
Right.
least the basics of success.
Right.
And you're making them prove it. So again, folks, if I were listening to this, I'd be like, damn, dude, this dude's unique. He's going to freaking train me so he doesn't lose his money. And then he's going to, if I do the job, which is only 28 days, you said, if I show him that I'm not a bitch or a punk or a weak ass or a snowflake, he'll fund the deals. All I got to do is go and work and find them and bring them. Dude, that's freaking crazy. You got a lot of people out there that you can impact.
Yes.
Folks, dropping bombs, bomb squad, pay attention. Toby Potter official, or the website. If they go there, where do you want them to go?
globalintegrityfinance.com.
Can't freaking talk. globalintegrityfinance.com. Folks, appreciate you coming in.
Hey, appreciate it, Brad.
Guys,
it's been an honor, been a pleasure.
And don't say I didn't do anything for you. This dude's giving you the freaking answers, the money, the whole 9 yards. Till next time, keep it real.